Ramaswamy is leading most of our candidates. And you know why? Because he says Trump is one of the greatest presidents in the history of our country. And I said, I like that guy.
Would you be open to being Trump's running mate?
Thank y'all for click and play. Hopefully you click that like button as well. And share this video if you get a moment, all right?
Tonight, is the mercenary leader who led a revolt against Vladimir Putin's power still alive? His whereabouts have been a mystery, but today we learned that Prigozhin is not actually in Belarus. It's unclear if his Wagner fighters will move to Belarus, and it's throwing more confusion on that deal that supposedly ended the armed insurrection. Now, it comes as Russian state TV is releasing new images of a raid on Prigozhin's St. Petersburg property, footage showing money, wigs, and gold found at the property, and it all raises questions about what Moscow's plans are for Prigozhin. Joining me now on this, plus many, many other issues.
That dude is gone, bruh. Either he's dead, or they got him out and about with a secret army doing some secret things that they want to act as if he's gone. They want to, you know, they're playing like they got rid of him, but they didn't. They probably got him out there with their secret army. You know, he moved to the actual spot of Russia that houses all of their nuclear weapons. He might be there putting together some squad to do some damage with those things. We don't know. So I guess that he left all of his money, all of his wigs, everything else. He's out on a mission or he's dead. And I don't know why they fake running up in his house as if they didn't already they already decided on what they wanted to do. They came to an understanding. So I don't get that part. I don't even know why I will be on video while they're doing it. They're doing that part for a reason.
Chooses Republican presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy. Welcome, sir, to the program. I do want to start there on the war in Ukraine. It has obviously taken on renewed urgency after Prigozhin's uprising and Kyiv's offensive. And you've proposed, as I think many people know now, a 72-hour window as president, if you were elected, for Putin to agree to a deal that would pull him away from Beijing in exchange for the United States ending effectively its support for Ukraine. But my question to you is, why would Putin stop at only parts of Ukraine that they've already invaded, when he's hinted that he has much broader ambitions for Ukraine?
So look, Putin would accept a deal because it allows him to achieve something he wants. He does not enjoy being Xi Jinping's little brother in that relationship. But the reason I would do that deal,
I think Joe Biden loved being Xi Jinping's little brother. You know, when he said that he was cruising playing ukuleles in the Himalayas with Xi Jinping. Yeah, I remember that speech.
Is that it would still advance American interests because the top military threat that we face is the China-Russia alliance. Nobody else in either political party is talking about it. But if you combine Russia's nuclear stockpile and its hypersonic missile capabilities, combined with China's economy and its large landmass and the fact that it's an adversary to the U.S., as well as its naval capacity, they outmatch us. So I think our top objective should be to pull Putin out of that alliance. Putin does not enjoy being the second fiddle to Xi Jinping. That's why I think he'll take that deal. Well, but I think that we do have to end that Ukraine war by freezing the current lines of control.
Well, look, I think the other question here is, if you basically give Putin what they have seized by force, how would that stop China from seizing by force Taiwan, for example? I think the principle here, many people would argue, is that there is a world order in which you don't just get to seize territory by waging wars on your neighbors.
So China has actually one constraint on going after Taiwan, and I want to tap into that constraint. Right now, Xi Jinping has confidence that Vladimir Putin is in his camp, and his bet is that the U.S. will not want to go after two allied nuclear superpowers at the same time. But if Putin is no longer in Xi Jinping's camp, then Xi Jinping will absolutely have to think twice before going after Taiwan. I do think Taiwan is more important for the U.S. than is Ukraine because we depend on the semiconductors that come from that island nation that power our modern way of life, including our cell phones, our cameras, all modern technology, our cars, and so on. So that's why I think that Taiwan and Ukraine are not really the same thing. We shouldn't treat them the same either. But it is by ending the war in Ukraine and doing that deal that requires Putin to exit his alliance with China that we also deter China from going after Taiwan in a way that avoids war. That should be the top foreign policy objective of the next president.
One thing that I'm noticing, and I don't know if you've noticed, I was being quiet for the same reasons why the young lady who is interviewing him is being quiet, because you have to also remember that she is from the left. He is from the right. And usually these interviewers on these channels, mainstream media channels, they want to get a moment. They want to capture a moment, something that will go viral, something that they can use to help their sides. She's not stopping him because she realizes that he actually knows what he's talking about. So she's just moving on from question to question and just sitting back and just letting him run the show, because she realized that she can't, it's not a whole lot that I can add to this situation right here. I mean, I can challenge him, but what will be the point of that? Not saying that she don't know her position. I mean, well, not saying that she don't know what she's talking about, or she don't have a better perspective or understanding of everything that's going on internationally. But I do see that usually when this type of mismatch is happening, especially if it's an actual CNN broadcast, they do take the time to challenge their guests if they're from the opposite side.
Another component of this, of course, is that Putin and Xi Jinping have much more than just economic ties. They also are both authoritarian leaders. And they, on a sort of values proposition, have more in common with each other, don't you think?
Well, you could have said the same thing about Mao Zedong and Brezhnev back in 1972, when Nixon made the move of pulling Mao out from under Brezhnev's hands. And I think that back then, Mao was the little brother in that relationship. Today, Putin is the new Mao. So I think that I don't trust Vladimir Putin on anything, but I do trust him to follow his self-interest. And I think if we're willing to normalize economic relations with Russia, if we're willing to freeze those current lines of control, if we're willing to guarantee that NATO will not admit Ukraine, as Vladimir Putin asked for in late 2021 before he invaded, then I think it will be in Putin's interest to actually renormalize those relations with the West, as long as he exits that military relationship with China. And I would also require that he remove nuclear weapons from Kaliningrad, which borders Poland, as well as to remove the Russian military from the Western Hemisphere. That's how we advance American interests while ending the war in Ukraine.
I want to turn now to a domestic policy issue, and this is actually something that you have not been particularly vocal about, and it's entitlements. Like,
I thought she was gonna ask him about the whole if he was gonna run with Trump thing. That's what I saw on the beginning of it. And I know it's not clickbait, so it's coming up, but more than likely they use that as clickbait for us to continue to watch it. And I apologize for that. I'm hoping we get to that soon.
Social Security and Medicare, which it's an issue that actually has become a point of contention between Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis. Question to you is, would you make changes to Social Security and Medicare if you were elected?
So the classic debate right now is between tax increases on the Democrat side versus cuts to entitlements among some on the Republican side. I personally believe there's a better way, a third way. Focus on GDP growth itself. I'm the only candidate in either party who believes and acts on the fact that we can grow our way out of our problems. It is true that if we remain at less than 1%,
Social Security and Medicare needing to,
Yeah, I think growing is better than spending ourselves out of it or borrowing ourselves out of it. I mean, what other options are they putting on the table at the moment? I would like to hear them myself. I think growing out of it mean that we've learned our lesson. We've taken other measures that will not send us in the same direction, which is down, that will send us upwards, and we will start to improve in all of the places where we have a deficit. If that's what he's saying, I'm with him 100%.
I'm presenting to you what many of your Republican colleagues say. They say that it's going to be insolvent in just a couple of decades. Do you think that you can grow your way out of that problem without addressing the fundamentals of those programs?
That is correct. If you continue to grow at this year's current GDP growth rate of less than 1%, then absolutely we are going to be in trouble in 20 years. We run out of money. But for most of our national history, we've grown at over 3 to 4+% GDP growth. I have a clear plan of how to restore that.
listen, ain't no running out of money. Okay, that option, take that off the table. All right, I'm 45, and by the time I'm 65, 20 years from now, I want to be making some more money. Okay, go and stop talking about running out of money. But we need to fix it
in relatively short order.
So
First is you unlock American energy.
Will you pledge
drill,
then,
frack, burn coal, put people back to work?
Will you pledge then to not touch Social Security and Medicare? Let's take into consideration your economic plans, but would you pledge not to touch Social Security and Medicare if you were elected president?
I do. And in fact, the irony is that when we're growing at a high GDP growth rate again, by the time I'm out of office in January 2033, we will be growing at over 4%. Ironically, it's actually when the country is at its strongest economically, when our citizens are making more money, that we can then have a rational conversation about whether we have the political consensus to draw distinctions between people who have, say, made $10 million or more in their lifetime versus those who have not when it comes to security, Social Security or Medicare.
All right.
But
And
right
can I
now
ask
is not
you-
that environment.
Can I
Americans
ask-
have, in a shrinking economy, we should not cut entitlements.
Can I ask you about another issue? This is also something that your opponents, Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump, have called for, including DeSantis very recently, which is an end to birthright citizenship. What's your position on that? Would you end birthright citizenship?
I think for a period of time, I think it's going to be necessary in this country because we have an
Hold on. What's birthright citizenship? Most cases, birthright citizenship is clear. When a person is born to United States citizens on U.S. soil, they are granted automatic citizenship. Okay, that's automatic citizenship. That's birthright citizenship. However, other cases of birthright citizenship can be more complex. We can help you understand everything you need to know about birthright citizenship in the United States. What is birthright citizenship? Concept of gaining citizenship to a country by either being born on that country's soil or being born to citizens of that country. In the United States, birthright citizenship can be granted to those born within United States territories, to those who are born U.S. citizens in another part of the world. United States birthright citizenship was established in Citizenship Clause of 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution.
influx of migrants across that southern border, 14,000 plus per day by some estimates crossing that southern border. That is not the rule of law. That is the abandonment of the rule of law. So if migrants are coming illegally, intentionally, to be able to establish an illegal toehold in the United States, then I think that that's something that we should not abide in this country.
And we
To
should
the
say
contrary,
that
I take
you
that
were,
issue one step even.
we should say also, I mean, both of your parents are immigrants to the United States, so you would have been a beneficiary of birthright citizenship, but you now are saying you would ban that for people coming into the country. And what is the period of time for which?
You see what she tried to do? Real slick, right? She just now said you were a beneficiary of the thing that you're now against. So that means you're a hypocrite. She was trying to slide that on him. Hopefully he corrects that.
Which that would be the case.
For people coming into the country illegally. That's the key distinction. And
You see that? She passed that part over, and she knew it. You can see in her eyes. You can see in her face. And she's not going to make that distinction. She's not going to say, you know what, you're right. But you can look in her eyes that she was trying to pin him down, and she didn't know that he was going to catch him, but he always do. He was listening. He saw you try to be slick, and he caught it.
people make this mistake all the time. And I think you got to be really careful when you talk about the difference between legal immigrants and illegal immigrants. One is founded on following the rule of law. The other is founded on breaking the rule of law.
That might be
and
the
there's
case,
a
but I'm just
distinction.
saying that
border
birthright
security and immigration
citizenship
are not the same issue.
What I'm saying is that birthright citizenship, as it is currently in law, does not make that distinction between whether that person was born to someone legally or not. So you are saying that even though birthright citizenship for you was something that was in play,
You know exactly what he's saying, but go ahead.
you would take it off the table now. And my question is also, how long would that be the case? And also, how would you do it? Would you go to Congress for a constitutional amendment?
Well, actually, I've supported the 28th Amendment to the Constitution. I'll actually go one step further on this, Abby, is that I don't think someone, just because they're born in this country, even if they're a sixth-generation American, should automatically enjoy all the privileges of citizenship.
You hear what he's saying? He's not saying, and a lot of people could hear this right here. It could be a daggone sound bite that's sent all throughout different groups of Americans, okay? And they were like, you hear that, right? He's saying just because you're born here, you don't get citizenship. So what they gonna do, right? They only gonna get the white people and make them citizens, and they gonna make the black people illegal. You're gonna have to retake tests, and you're gonna have to answer the questions that the immigrants are answering, and that's just racist. That's what he actually wants people to answer those questions. And he believes that it's important because he understands all that you would now understand and appreciate more of if you were to give a damn about the questions that have to be researched and memorized and just thought of. You got to actually put some thought to it in order to really be able to pass those tests that immigrants have to pass in order to become citizens.
Until they've actually earned it. So one of the things I've said is that every high school student who graduates from high school should have to pass the same civics test that every immigrant has to pass in order to become a citizen of this country.
You see her face. Her face went down like, oh man, he did say that. Dang it. So the point I just now made about his parents being from another country, but since he was born here, he automatically gets citizenship. I tried to paint him into a corner, but he didn't fall for it. But that part right there really sends it over the roof. So now I got to figure out what can I say to him that will get us away from this topic, because I am losing this debate. She is losing the hell out of this part of the debate. Look at her. That's why she put her face as she completely turned away from him. She's not even looking in the camera no more.
I believe that there are civic duties attached to citizenship. So much so that I don't think you should automatically get your right to vote at age 18 unless you have passed that same citizenship test that immigrants have had to pass,
right,
or else have served the country.
Understood.
This is part of my broader pro-civic vision.
I understand that, although I think there are some questions about why younger Americans would have less citizenship rights than older Americans, but I do want to move on here. You've been seeing a bump in recent polling, and that is probably as a result of you being in a lot of different places and campaigning. And in New Hampshire, former President Trump had some unusually warm words for you. I want you to take a listen.
Actually, Vivek Ramaswamy is leading most of our candidates. And you know why? Because he says Trump is one of the greatest presidents in the history of our country. And I said, I like that guy. I like him.
Trump always starting stuff, man. He know that Vivek gonna see this, and Vivek ain't gonna be for it. Vivek is not gonna be, and Vivek's gonna get back on his "no, I'm the man" type of footing, and he's gonna want to fire shots too. Trump is smart. He know what he's doing, man.
I said, are you sure he's running against me? You know, that's a pretty severe statement, but he's very good. He's actually a pretty good guy.
So what do you make of that? I should say some people have suggested that Trump is using your candidacy to undermine his biggest rival right now, which is DeSantis.
We're very early in this race, so anybody who's trying to draw who the front runners are before the first debate, I think is missing the plot, just like they would have in 2016.
This is going to be some good debates, man. Now, let me tell you something. I cannot wait to see DeSantis, Ramaswamy, and freaking Trump debating each other. Are you kidding me? This is going to be crazy. This should be pay-per-view, man.
I'm running to lead this nation forward. It's true that Trump and I have a couple things in common. We're both outsiders who have had success in business, who did not grow up in the world of politics. And I think we have a lot of common cause, both in standing for the America First agenda. But I'm in this race to take that America First agenda to the next level, to actually secure the southern border by moving the military to secure that border, shutting down government agencies that should not exist. I've said that I would end affirmative action by executive order, by rescinding the one that Lyndon Johnson wrote into law that every other Republican president since then could have negated. So in many ways, I'm going further than Trump, but I also hope to...
You heard that shot that he just now threw, right? By many ways, I'm going further than him. He ain't go far enough. That dude ain't me. I mean, thank you for the compliment. It was cute. But I'm on my way, bro. I'm the guy. I'm that guy.
unite the country by doing it based on first principles and moral authority. So do I respect a lot of his accomplishments for this country? Absolutely. And I've been unapologetic about saying so. I'm in this race as the first millennial ever to run for this nomination to take that to the next level because I have fresh legs and I'm reaching the next generation while I do it.
I have to ask you, would you be open to being Trump's running mate?
I would not. I am actually focused on winning the presidency. If you're like me, got 2 young sons at home, making the sacrifices that we are.
He said, I would not. They are going to hold on to this soundbite because when Trump whip your ass, okay? And then he's looking for a running mate. People are going to be paying attention to this soundbite right here where you said, I would not. So don't, this one right here might come back and bite you in your little booty.
Putting over $15 million of my money into this campaign already. Hard-earned money, not what I inherited. I didn't inherit money. You know what? You make those sacrifices if you want to actually drive a national revival.
That was a shot. He said, I'm putting my hard-earned money into this, not inherited money, not money that I inherited. He's throwing a shot at somebody. I don't know if he's throwing it at Trump. I think Trump made his money, but he's still trying to say, man, you was born with silver spoons in your mouth, bro. You had gold spoons or diamond forks in your mouth, bro.
Like Ronald Reagan did it in 1980. There was the Reagan Revolution. I say in a good-spirited way, we're looking for the Ramaswamy Revolution in 2024. And that's what I think we're going to deliver.
Did I hear you say you've put in $50 million into your campaign so far?
Oh, over 15 is what I said. Yep,
$15 million. And so how much, where will you stop on self-funding?
We'll stop at nothing. To be honest with you, we've gotten also over 60,000 unique donors. I haven't said that, I think, in other settings yet. We crossed 60,000 unique donors at the start of July. I know many other candidates are talking about 40,000 being a tough threshold for the Republican debate stage. I'm a first-time candidate. I've never had a political donor or donor list in my life. We've already crossed 60,000. So this is a grassroots campaign. People are responding to the message of putting American interests first, but doing it based on principles and moral foundations. And I think that's going to take us not only all the way to the White House, but to a national revival in the 8 years thereafter. That's what I'm looking to lead.
Now, one of my people, Chris and Susie, I don't know which one wrote this, says that, and this is just for Ramaswamy, says that he is not qualified to be the president. She said a person must be a natural born citizen, which means his parents should have been citizens before he was born. So technically, he's not supposed to run. Apparently, that's not what everybody else is thinking right now because he got 60,000 people that are financing him right now. So maybe they were looking to that later, but right now, man, the gates are open and he is running. He is running. And he's ahead of somebody who was a VP of Trump, Mike Pence. This dude has more votes than him so far.